One of the things I like about Hammock forums is that members will share knowledge that they have from other sports and apply it to hammocking. We've had great contributions from climbing and sailing, for example, in knotwork and materials. Had a really interesting first post by member ZA206, who shared with us all something he calls a utility constrictor rope that he'd been using for his hammock suspension. He originally developed this to secure tree stands for bow hunting. So his first post generated lots of questions, lots of interest. Tired Feet saw that the principles that the UCR uses looked similar to the principles that a Whoopie Sling uses. Other members started building these. Frog was particularly interested in UCR and built several of these and posted his experience. And others built Whoopie Slings, and the floodgates were opened when Slowbro posted a tutorial on how to make Whoopie Slings. And so many members now are using these. Whoopie Slings and UCRs both work off of the same principle, that when you have a single braid rope like this Vectress or M-Steel, is that you can compress it, and in doing so it creates a channel inside that another rope can go through. And so here, for example, is one such piece that's largely compressed, and as you can see, it has another rope that goes right through it. So this is the constrictor and this is the berry. Now the magic part is that when you apply tension to one or both of the constriction ends, then it closes up like a Chinese finger puzzle and traps the buried rope that's inside, and there's enough friction to hold it for something like a hammock suspension. So we can build devices using this principle to create variable length suspension ropes for hammocks. So the principles involved are similar to those of doing a buried eye splice, which I've started here. There's a yarn needle. I've narrowed the end of this by removing some threads a bit. And you see I can press this in. It's about 3 inches or so for this berry. See the line comes up, and now I just worry this end over. And I've pulled the line through. Now reposition it, and at this point we need to secure this berry. One way of doing that is to put some thread through this whole berry length in this direction, and then in 90 degrees to that. It's a recommended approach, and there's something also that's called a Brummel that can be used as well. So the difference between a splice like this and the Whoopie Sling is that instead of burying the final end here, we pull the end all the way through. So here we can see that we've got a constrictor. It's somewhat larger for the Whoopie Sling, about 9 inches. But we've got an eye loop, but then it emerges and it just keeps on going. So this then is a Whoopie Sling. So we put the loop with the toggle and a Marlin spike hitch, and now we can adjust the suit. Shorten the suspension, we go to the bottom where the berry line emerges. We grasp the constrictor and we push up and pull on the berry line, and what that does is that loosens up the tension on the constrictor and allows the berry line to come through, and so then we can pull it and shorten up the loop, and then we tighten it and we milk the constrictor. To lengthen the suspension, we do just the opposite. We go to the top of the constrictor where the loop forms, and we grab it and we push down on that to break the constriction, and then we pull the berry line through. And that's all we need to do with the Whoopie Sling. Some things about the Whoopie cord bear emphasis. Because of its construction, if you're going to have, say, 3 feet of adjustability, then you're going to need 6 feet of cord, because your sling doubles the cord use all the way down to where the join is, to where the berry occurs. The berry portion, 9 to 10 inches, will add to the minimum span that you can use. It's not a lot, but it's something to keep in mind. Now the UCR is a little different in that the constrictor can slide along the berry. You can position along the berry wherever it is that you happen to like, and then when you apply tension on one loop at one end, then it grabs. What's characteristic of the UCR is that the grab happens here and decreases, and at this end is actually loose, and all it takes is a little jostle from this end to break the constriction at the front end and let it all go. With a Whoopie Sling, though, both ends of the constrictor are under tension. You have one end here which goes all the way up to the toggle, so there's tension there. The other end of the constrictor rope goes all the way down to the hammock. So both ends of the constrictor are under tension, so both ends pull and you have tension throughout. So to attach using UCR, put the loop over the toggle as before. And now if you want to tighten it, grab the constrictor rope and pull on the berry and then milk it some. To loosen, all you have to do is go to the bottom end, compress a little bit. That will loosen up the constriction, and then the berry can pass through. So to tighten it, to loosen it, it's all quite simple. Should be noted though that the UCR has a tendency to slip under load. You have this line slip through a little bit. So the way to deal with that is to slip a slippery half hitch through there, and this will serve as sort of a stopper knot. So that's quite effective. I have seen that doing this tends to open up this passage a bit with use. So it's one of the reasons I'm not as fond of UCRs as I might otherwise be. Our idea for keeping the tension on the UCR, floated by frog, is really a good one. It's to put a loop at the bottom of the UCR, and then you can attach a little weight here. Just something like camp shoes will be enough to pull this down and hopefully keep it under more constriction. So my objective has been to show you a Whoopie Sling and a utility constrictor rope, show you the principles that make it work, how to use it one way on a hammock, how to adjust the length of a suspension line. There are a lot of other ideas that have been expressed by Hammock Forums members, too many for me to record, so I encourage you to go to the Whoopie Sling and the utility constrictor rope threads and read all about it. In the meantime, just get constricting.